The life of the Buddha was not a smooth journey as many people think. He, a human being like us, also faced serious obstacles and challenges on the path to enlightenment. But in moments of suffering, when he was slandered, teased, or plotted against, he did not react with anger or hatred. Instead, he overcame them all with his transcendent wisdom and boundless compassion. Today's video will take you on a mystical journey where the Buddha, like a guiding light, challenged all the great obstacles to become enlightened. Each obstacle he overcame was a profound lesson, opening the door for us to better understand the true nature of enlightenment and the mysteries of a saint's spiritual journey. The first obstacle, Palaman Akasina. There was a Palaman named Akasina. His name means not angry, but in reality it was the exact opposite. He was always angry. When he heard that the Buddha was never angry with anyone, Akasina decided to challenge the Buddha. He came and continuously cursed, used vulgar words, and insulted the Buddha. After a long tirade, the Buddha calmly asked, "Do you have relatives, friends, or loved ones who come to visit you?" Akasina replied, "Yes." The Buddha continued to ask, "Do you ever give gifts, such as cakes or food, for them to take away?" Akasina replied, "Yes." The Buddha asked again, "If they do not accept those gifts, who will receive them?" Akasina replied, "If they do not accept them, then I will receive them. Who else?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Likewise, O Brahman, you have cursed us, who did not curse you. You have been angry with us, who were not angry with you. You have quarreled with us, who did not quarrel with you. All the words you have said, we do not accept. All belong to you. You can take them all back." With patience, wisdom, and compassion, the Buddha has taught us to look differently at the rude gifts and provocations we encounter in life. Instead of immediately reacting with anger or resentment, we can learn not to accept those gifts and live with peace of mind. We learn the ability to control our emotions, patience, and compassion, acceptance, and not to respond negatively. That is choosing to react intelligently. The second obstacle, competing. Once, also on the way to teach, the Buddha went on alms round alone. He met a Brahmin who followed him and cursed him. The man cursed him continuously, but the Buddha remained silent, without any response. The man saw the Buddha stop, spread out a mat to sit, and immediately approached him and asked, "Why? Do you want to lose to me?" The Buddha replied, "The winner adds resentment. The loser cannot sleep peacefully. Winning and losing, both let go. Then you can sleep peacefully. So, why do we lose our appetite and sleep? Because of winning and losing, gain and loss. When we win, we cannot sleep peacefully. When we lose, we cannot sleep well. When we are superior to others, when we return, we still feel resentful, remembering that we said something good, that action was good. But if we see that we lost, we are angry and cannot sleep." Not chasing after endless competition, Buddha taught that comparing and competing with others only makes us more tired and loses our peace of mind. People who always try to be better than others will never feel satisfied, and even when they win, they still cannot find peace in their hearts. Peace comes from letting go of competition. Buddha advised that when we let go of competition, we do not always have to win to be happy. Then we can be truly at peace and sleep peacefully. The third obstacle, a group of curses. When the Buddha was newly enlightened, he was still young and accidentally went to a land. There was a rich Brahmin who was very good at physiognomy. This man noticed that the Buddha had 32 good signs, so he immediately praised him and said, "If you were still alive, you would definitely become a Chakravartin." He had a beautiful daughter, so he went home and discussed with his wife, deciding to marry his daughter to the Buddha. The couple went to the Buddha, who was sitting under a banyan tree, and said, "Venerable sir, we have a very beautiful daughter. Please marry her to you." Hearing this, the Buddha immediately replied, "You say your daughter is beautiful, but in the eyes of us monks, everyone is just a pile of skin filled with worthless, stinking things." The attendant heard this and turned to the young girl. After hearing this, the girl became very angry. No one had ever dared to despise her like that before. She vowed to take revenge on the Buddha. Then King Kosami came to ask for her hand in marriage, and she was made the second queen. One day, the Buddha went to preach, and he came to her country. When she heard that he was coming, She thought this was a rare opportunity to take revenge. She hired fierce people in the area to surround the Buddha, telling them to curse him until he left. This time, the Buddha went with Ananda. As soon as the two entered the country, a group of men and women rushed out, cursing each other. The Buddha remained calm as if nothing had happened, but Ananda could not bear it and said, "Venerable world-honored one, let us go somewhere else." The Buddha asked, "Where shall we go, Ananda?" Ananda replied, "Venerable world-honored one, we will go to the country of Dex." The Buddha asked, "If we go there and people behave like here, what do you think?" Ananda replied, "Then we go to Vaishali." The Buddha asked again, "If we go there and people behave like here, what do you think?" Ananda replied, "Or we go to Rajagriha, blessed one." The Buddha then said, "Why do the people of Rajagriha and Vaishali favor us?" Ananda replied, "Because the people there have heard the blessed one preach. They know the Dhamma well and have the wisdom to distinguish between good and bad actions. Therefore, they respect the blessed one very much." The Buddha smiled and said, "Ananda, suppose there is a very good doctor, but he puts up a sign at the gate saying, 'Here, he only treats people with minor illnesses and those who are not sick. Anyone with serious illnesses, please go elsewhere. Is that okay?" Venerable Ananda replied, "Venerable world-honored one, no." The Buddha asked, "Why?" Venerable Ananda replied, "Because a good physician must treat serious illnesses. It is not reasonable to treat only minor illnesses and those who are not sick." The Buddha then said, "Venerable Ananda, the people here are like seriously ill people who need to be educated. If the Tathagata does not come personally, who would dare to educate them?" Hearing this, Venerable Ananda remained silent and agreed. The fierce people heard the Buddha's explanation and immediately became enlightened. The whole group said, "Venerable world-honored one, we apologize to you. We are really seriously ill people. We hope you will stay and teach us." The Buddha and Venerable Ananda stayed here for more than a week. Many of them were enlightened and understood the truth of life. The fourth obstacle, slandering the Buddha. Another time, when the Buddha returned to Truklam province, all the kings, officials, and people came to listen to his teachings every day. As a result, some Brahmins took refuge in the Buddha. This made a Brahmin named Sundari angry and wanted to harm the Buddha. He plotted, sending his beautiful daughter to pretend to come to listen to the teachings. After a few times, he secretly killed his daughter in the middle of the night and buried her body in the province area. In the morning, he pretended to make a fuss, reporting to the authorities that his daughter had gone missing after going to listen to the teachings at Truklam province. The authorities searched and found the girl's body in the province. Immediately, Sundari loudly accused the Buddha of committing two crimes: adultery and murder, that is, having an affair with his daughter, then killing her to hide the evidence. In this situation, there was nothing to prove the Buddha's innocence, so he remained silent. However, the king of Magadha, who had great respect for the Buddha, ordered a thorough investigation. Finally, the truth was revealed. It was Sundari who had killed his daughter to frame the Buddha. The matter was cleared up, and the Buddha was exonerated. The fifth obstacle, the plot of the Buddha's assassination. The plot of the Buddha's cousin, also became a monk. He had attained the 5 supernatural powers, but he had the ambition to lead and change the Sangha. Therefore, he developed hatred and sought to harm the Buddha. Once, he released a wild elephant on the road where the Buddha was traveling with the intention of killing him. When the wild elephant approached, everyone panicked and ran away, leaving only the Buddha standing still. He sent compassionate thoughts toward the elephant. The elephant, from its ferocious state, suddenly calmed down and knelt at the Buddha's feet like a gentle lamb. The Buddha's compassion transformed the animal's ferocity. Not stopping there, the plot also plotted to roll a rock down the mountain to harm the Buddha. Although he could not kill him, a rock crushed one of the Buddha's toes. Because of this action, Venerable Dat Dat committed the crime of touching the Buddha's body in blood, causing injury to the Buddha's body. In the end, Venerable Dat Dat also divided the Sangha, leading some monks to leave and follow him. However, thanks to the intervention of his 2 great disciples, Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Madhgalyana, the Sangha was united again as before. The 6th obstacle, Bhikkhu Tien Tin. Another disciple of the Buddha was Bhikkhu Tien Tin, who was very intelligent and knew the 12 sutras by heart. After a period of practice, he attained the 4 levels of meditation, but he became arrogant. He began to criticize the Buddha's teachings, thinking that they did not reach the ultimate goal. He even rejected cause and effect and nirvana. Although the Buddha advised him many times, he did not change his views. One day, Tien Tin returned to secular life, followed the heretics, and spoke ill of the Buddha. He listed 8 false faults of the Buddha, causing many people to be confused. The Buddha did not respond, but only endured. Gradually, people realized the truth through the Buddha's wisdom and virtue. This is a great lesson about not paying attention to slander and maintaining one's own virtue. The 7th obstacle, the last meal. Before entering nirvana, the Buddha predicted his final moments. When he arrived at the Sala forest, a blacksmith named Chunda offered him his last meal. It was a bowl of mushroom soup that only the Buddha could eat. Immediately after the meal, the Buddha felt his health rapidly decline. However, he did not blame Chunda but reassured the blacksmith that the meal was a special blessing, and there was nothing to regret. The Buddha was led by monks to the Sala tree, where he peacefully entered nirvana. Before leaving this world, the Buddha left his last teachings, reminding his disciples to diligently practice and uphold the Dharma. The life of the Buddha is a living testament to overcoming adversity with wisdom and compassion. From slander, insults, to plots to kill, the Buddha always kept a peaceful mind, without resentment or revenge. The lessons from the obstacles the Buddha faced are not only for his disciples, but also a guideline for all of us in modern life. Instead of reacting negatively, we can learn to live peacefully, let go of winning and losing, and maintain a compassionate heart in all situations.